What's up, CBS Sports HQ YouTube fans? I'm Erik Kuselias, and I'll be breaking down the NFC South division today with futures, picks, props, and more. Here we go. Yeah, Bucko Bruce. I'm Erik Kuselias. All right. Tampa Bay, those are your world champs. And the all-22 tape is when you get to see everybody on both sides. That's what the coaches use. Well, all-22 means something very different in Tampa. What it means is every single starter came back. Free agents. Everybody. Everybody says, you know what? We love being here with Brady in the sunshine and winning games. And they're expected to win games. That has ticked all the way up to 12. Was 11, was 11 and a half. Now it's 12. That feels about right, 12 and 5. I'm not playing them under, I can tell you that much. As a matter of fact, the long shot team prop, how about best record at plus 500? Maybe we go there. And if you look at the Brady win totals, I don't see a lot of unders there. But I ain't betting against Brady. In fact, I'll bet him to have the best record or be tied for the best record at plus 500. Give me a kale with a side of kale, please. All right, fantasy-wise, I'm going to play against the wide receivers in Tampa because there's a lot of mouths to feed. When Chris Godwin had Antonio Brown on the field, he was way worse. In fact, averaged less than 5 catches, less than 65 yards, not a lot of touchdowns. More than 40 wide receivers caught more passes than Mike Evans last year, so if he doesn't have crazy touchdowns, he ain't going to help you. They have 2 tight ends. I don't know what to do with AB. They're all going to be a little overdrafted because they're sexy names, but I think someone else should draft them too early and not you. But I will regard Tom Brady. He played 20 games last year, including the playoffs. 17 times, or 85% of the times, he had multiple touchdowns. He had 43 total touchdowns. Yeah, boy. His prop is 35 and a half. I kind of would lean over for Brady there. Now, I will look at the running backs, and this is interesting. You want a shocking stat? Leonard Fournette was the only running back in the NFL last year with 50 carries who didn't break a single tackle. Not one. Yikes. You know what that means? And when you watched, Ronald Jones is better. Play Ronald Jones. Draft Ronald Jones earlier. Don't draft Fournette. Draft Ronald Jones. He's going to win the job, and he's going to be the guy in this huge explosive offense. His rushing prop of 750 and a half, we're going to go over. His touchdown prop is 6.5. We're going to go over. Ronald Jones to have a breakout year with these very low props. Get him on your fantasy team, play the props over, and thank me later. Yeah, New Orleans Saints, I'm Erik Kuselias. I'm a little confused. Last year, the Saints played without Drew Brees for more than a month, and when he played, he was banged up and didn't play particularly well, but the Saints still went 12-4. They won the division. They swept Tom Brady. First time anyone's ever swept Tom Brady. And in the playoffs, they had Brady beat again until Jared Cook fumbled, and they lost a turnover battle by 4. I mean, they were a better team overall that day. So why is their number this year just 9? I'm not quite sure. Even with the extra game, you're telling me 9 and 8? I'm going over. I am going over. This is a team and a coach and a defense I believe in. Sean Payton, 5 years in a row, top 5 in touchdowns and points scored in the NFL, despite the fact that Drew Brees at times has been injured and not play well and now isn't there. From a fantasy perspective, as a result, a great sleeper, especially, I got to see that he's going to be the guy, but Jameis Winston has my eye. Last time he was a starting quarterback, he led the NFL in passing yards. That's right. And then couldn't get a job. Because you don't have to be great to lead the NFL in passing yards. You have to be in the right system. This is the right system. He's a great sleeper. On the other side, Alvin Kamara, very interesting. Look, 2 things with Kamara. 1, he scored 6 touchdowns in a game against Minnesota, which sort of skewed his stats. I know it was against my brother in a fantasy final. He had Kamara, and I lost, and it's not like I'm bitter or anything, but, you know, I remembered it. Remember my Christmas. And the second thing is, the one thing that Drew Brees did very, very well, nobody ever did it better, the quick drop back and the turn and the dump off to the running back accurately in stride. That's a skill. They won't have that. Kamara's receiving numbers should come down. His catches should come down. And he won't have those touchdowns because, again, he had 6 in one game. You can't count on that. So I think he regresses a little bit and will go a little too early. But I still do like Jameis, and I love the Saints. Yeah, Atlanta, I'm Erik Kuselias. Was it really only 4 years ago the Falcons had the Super Bowl won and then, well, didn't? Well, now we're not really thinking Super Bowl. We're thinking just find a way to be over 500. Let's take a look at where they are projected win totals. You look, and they're at 7.5. I'm going to go under. They got to get to 8 and 9. Now, the thing that would scare me here, I know they have 2 against Tampa, 2 against New Orleans, but after that, the schedule is very manageable. But I don't think that they're an 8-9 team. I think they're more like a 7 or a 6-win team. They have a new coach, Arthur Smith, who now works for Arthur Blank, and there's a new philosophy there. Previously, this was a pass-happy team. 65% of their plays, nobody threw it more than Atlanta. But Smith, who was at Tennessee as their offensive coordinator, liked to run it more than everybody except Baltimore. So what are we going to do? We're going to like Mike Davis, and prop-wise, we're going to play against Matt Ryan because he's not going to throw it nearly as much. And they haven't adjusted that number. He's at 4,400.5 yards. If he doesn't play 17, we're going to cash that ticket. Even if he does, we probably will cash that ticket. Our player prop is Matt Ryan passing yards under, and we love it. Now, you just saw Mike Davis. We're going to bet on him because they're going to want to run the ball. And here's the thing. He's actually good. Last 16 games he's played, 1,250 yards, 67 catches, 11 touchdowns. And he runs hard. According to Pro Football Reference, of every player in the NFL last year that had 100 carries, he broke the highest percentage of tackles. Mike Davis, number 1. More than Derrick Henry. More than Dalvin Cook. And now he's the guy. And his numbers are really low. 775 rushing yards, over. 6.5 rushing touchdowns, over. And in your fantasy draft, he's going to be drafted too late. Mike Davis is going to help you. He's a very good number 2 running back, and he's slotted about 5 or 6 spots too low. I also like Kyle Pitts. He's a rookie, but they're not really going to play him as a tight end. He's almost going to play like the other wide receiver with Calvin Ridley. He's going to basically go to the Julio Jones role. So you can play him as a tight end, but he's going to function more as a wide receiver. So I'll take him over 800 pass receiving yards and over 6.5 touchdowns. I think he's good value in drafts as well. He's a top 5 tight end for me. Kyle Pitts, rookie, stud. Yeah, Carolina, I'm Erik Kuselias. All right, I think the Panthers are headed in the right direction. They won 5 games last year, despite the fact their best player, Christian McCaffrey, only played 3 games. And this year, they're expected to make another jump, all the way up to 7.5. I'll slightly lean under. I know you get the extra game, but a 3-win jump feels about right, but I think 7 more likely than 8, but this is only a lean. I don't love Sam Darnold. He's the new quarterback. He gets a new start, but he's the league's lowest rated passer. I'm not buying. Nobody who started this poorly in the last 20 years at quarterback has ever rebounded and had a really good career. So if he does it, it'll be unprecedented. I don't like to play the unprecedented. But man, do I love Christian McCaffrey. I know he only played 3 games last year. Do you realize how good he is? I mean, do you really realize how good he is? The last 2 seasons, he has averaged 2,200 yards and 16 touchdowns. And then last year, when he only played 3 games, he's even better. Yeah, better. 2,000 yards and 32 touchdowns. I mean, that's what he would have been on pace for. He scored 2 touchdowns in every game he played. And according to the injury index, he's not really a risk this year. Only projected to miss 1.2 games, which is pretty low. Fantasy-wise, does DJ Moore have compromising pictures of every fantasy analyst in the country? Why does everybody love this guy? They loved him last year. I said, no, he doesn't score touchdowns. How many do you have? 4. How many have you before? 4. Listen, if you don't score touchdowns, you can have a poster on my kid's wall. We can wish you well. We can buy your jersey. We can cheer for you. You just can't be on my fantasy team. The guys on my fantasy team have to score. And if you're projecting him for 5 touchdowns, that ain't good enough. No. Guys have to score. He's going to get drafted way too early. So, fantasy-wise, DJ Moore's too early. You know McCaffrey's number 1. I'll play him over 11.5 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, Robbie Anderson just signed an extension. Yeah, Temple.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.